佩达 Tina 的先生。So I think you guys have heard a lot of very specific career choices, majors, and how they came to that decision, and what were the different results, and how things could change. I think because of how many years I've been working, it's been 22 years since I graduated. I guess my speeches will be more about just giving you guys assurance that things will change, and things will take turns for different reasons, and it's important right now that you guys spend the time to study, understand different majors, different careers, but also know that once you decide, things will change down the road as well. Not this slide, the slide on just the bullet points. That's okay. Yeah. So I studied, when I was growing up, this is kind of distracting, maybe we can just turn this off. Okay. So I had a passion for things that fly. My mom worked in the airline industry, and my family, my granddad and my uncles, they were in the Taiwan Air Force military. So I had a lot of exposure to things that flew. And when I was in your age, there was also a very well-known movie called Top Gun that made a bunch of people crazy about flying fighter jets and things like that. So when it came to choosing a major, I knew I was kind of good at math and I enjoyed physics in high school. So I decided, okay, I want to do engineering, and what kind of engineering then? So I decided to do aerospace engineering. So I went to University of Maryland, a large public school in the East Coast. And the first year I did all the standard engineering classes, and maybe one or two aerospace engineering specific. And very soon I met with one of my uncles who happened to be in the aerospace industry, and this is when things were being cut, the whole industry was taking a downturn. And I was kind of concerned about my job prospect after graduation. So I said, okay, no aerospace, what's the next thing that I'll do? And also I met Tina at the time, and she kind of guided me towards choosing electrical engineering. And I guess electrical engineering, there were lots of things that you studied. What I really got out of is the kind of difficulty with the discipline. You have to study a lot of hard subjects. But I ended up graduating with understanding of how to design microprocessors. So my first job, and also part of my internship during school, was working for NASA. So NASA was this massive government agency, tons of fundings and very bureaucratic, lots of people. So my first experience was that, hardcore electrical engineering is essentially individuals spending a lot of times working on hard problems, didn't really have a lot of interaction with people, and you have to deal with, and I also learned that working for government, you have to deal with a lot of bureaucracy. Things didn't really move fast. So the first lesson from my first job was that I knew what I did not like. So one of the lessons that you do want to kind of keep in mind is quickly understand what are the things that you don't like. Because it's a lot easier to pursue things that you want, but it's very difficult to constantly deal with things that you don't like. So figure out what those things are and try to avoid them as you grow, as you progress. So after my experience with that, and that was my internship at school, my first job out of school was management consulting. For various reasons, I wanted to pursue electrical engineering, but none of them had a job offering for me in the Bay Area. And I had a very good reason to wanting to be in the Bay Area, and that's because Tina, who I was dating at the time, she was going to school in Stanford. So people around you and your circumstance will also influence the type of decision that you make. So it actually turned out to be a great decision that I joined a management consulting firm that was based in San Francisco. Management consulting firm, so if you look at the different companies around the world, there are a company that sells product, and there are a company that sells services. So management consulting is the service type. Essentially, they bring in lots of different talented people with different skill set, and they go to businesses and offer to solve their problem. So management consulting is essentially people looking at business or technical problem and bring in different skill sets and then try to solve a larger problem. It's not so much of looking at how do I deal with this electronic issue, or how do I look at solving this chemical engineering issue. It's more holistic, looking at business issue, processes, and solving that. So management consulting was very fun for me at the time because I was young. I wasn't yet married at the time. I got to travel. I got to learn about different businesses by engaging with different companies, because as a consultant, you're never on the same job for a very long time. You're done with one project, you move on to the next project. And the next project could be for a different company looking at a different problem set. So that's the nature of management consulting, and you live on corporate, you live with your colleagues and you're traveling, you have corporate expense cards. So it kind of opens your eye up to the world a little bit for someone who just graduated from college. Soon after that, this was in the 1999-2000 timeframe. And this is when the internet boom, the .com boom was happening. You guys don't know about .com, but basically, this is the very early days of Microsoft and eBay and Yahoo, Google that were coming about, and everyone in the Silicon Valley was interested in learning and getting into the internet business. So as part of a private firm, you're paid a salary. And really the people who makes money are the people at the top. These are the partners. And meanwhile, I'm listening about my friends who got into the high tech and .com. They were paid stock options and they were making lots of money off of that. And I saw that as a trend that I wanted to get into. Part of it is the money, part of it is the new internet technology. So this is when I joined an internet startup that's called Akamai. It was kind of a medium-sized, probably 200-300 people. So not a true startup, but a good-sized startup. And the lesson learned there is, doesn't matter what you study at school, if you have the ability and the willingness to learn new technology, and you show that to people, people are willing to hire someone who doesn't have the skill set. So the Akamai company, they were willing to hire me, not because I knew about internet, but I had some of the technical background, but I showed some important things about being able to learn things quickly. And they were willing to take a chance on you, take a chance on me. So, so that's how I joined the startup. And from there, I started on the engineering technical background, quickly went into technical sales, and then actual selling services to people. So this is where I learned that, yeah, I get bored quickly. I also want to, I found sales interesting. So as Andre mentioned earlier, sales is focused on communicating, working with people, finding needs, and solving problems. So, and I moved into sales, and I ended up taking my last role there was a country manager for a company in China. And I want to mention about that. So one thing that you do want to keep in mind is, as you move along your career, always try to figure out what is it about you that makes you a unique asset. What is it about your background? What is it about your skill set or what you have experienced? So in this case, I had the internet knowledge. I spent time doing different roles within the company. I also happen to be Chinese and speak and read and fluent Mandarin. So that made me a unique individual for that specific role. So I was willing to go after